Your boy, Sports Rap CEO, in the building, right here. You know where I'm at. Facebook, Sports Rap Podcast LLC is the group page. Also, let me see here. Instagram, you know where I'm at on IG. I am definitely at Sports Rap CEO. All right. So listen, it's a good morning. It's a Monday morning. And I know you all seen my post, and I know I told you that there will be an announcement. So the announcement will be coming. So you got to tune in. You got to stay locked in order to get the announcement. It's a good announcement. It's nothing bad. But like I said, you got to be tuned in, continually tuned in today to make sure that you get the announcement. Also, when I'm done today, I will post the link again as I posted in myself and Monica, Simply Monica have posted. We have a new link and we have some new sounds, and I must admit they sound pretty good. I know you guys were somewhat getting accustomed to or somewhat getting tired of the old system with the little staticky and everything, but we cleaned that up, and I told y'all we was going to clean that up, and I told y'all we've been working. So we cleaned that up, and we have gotten some reviews, and the reviews have all been good. So again, like I said, once I'm done today, I will post the link again for everyone to be able to get on that link. And listen, once you get the link, make sure you save it. Copy it, save it to your phone, save it to your desktop, save it to your laptop, save it to your tablet, save it to wherever. So you can make sure that you are tuned in to Heat 100 Radio, because you know we always have some stuff for you. Great shows, of course. The Midday Rush is coming back real soon, so be on the lookout for that. You also have me, Sports Rap Podcast, LLC, right here each and every Monday. And coming real soon, Money and Power Podcast. So y'all got to stay tuned. And then if y'all need to, if you have an idea, you have a voice, you want to be heard like we've been telling you, we can help you with that. We have, because you see where I am right now in my background, you see what I'm doing. We have the tools to help you do that. We got a way you can set up and do that. Just make sure you DM and make sure you are serious in your DM about that. So we have opportunities. We also have advertising opportunities, and we also have sponsorship opportunities. So we got a lot going on. As always, like we say, the station that keeps it 100. So we're going to keep it 100 with y'all. But just let me know, just letting you all know that what I just told you about the podcast space, if you have a voice, all right, just remember, there is a fee, all right? There is a fee, because you're going to be using our stuff. We going to coach you up, bring you up to where you need to be. So don't fret if you have no experience, all right? We will take care of all of that. So again, I'll probably post something in that regard later on today or sometime this week, as I do once a week maybe, or usually rather. But just stay tuned and just know that Heat 100 Radio, we got you covered. If you need to get in, you want a voice, you want to get in here, or if you just have a service, you have an artist, you want to come in and do an interview. Again, there is a fee for an interview. So again, once you DM and let us know that you are serious about what you do and serious about your craft, we can move on from there, and we'll give you all that detailed information. Again, like I always say, serious inquiries only. All right. So you know what it is. It's Monday, and you know what we do each and every Monday. You know how I start the show. You know what I do. I got some topics for y'all today. Sue, I want to come to them games. When you get a minute, Sue, text me the date. I saw the post, and I shared the post in the group. But just text me the dates again so I can make sure I put them in my calendar and make sure I'm free. All right. If not, I'll make a way to be free. If nothing, I will definitely pop in like I always do. But yeah, so just make sure you give me the dates. So get on your phone when you get a minute and make sure you text me the dates. My man, appreciate you. All right. So we're going to get into some scores like we do. And then we're going to get into some topics, man. I may not be long today. I may only have an hour of stuff for y'all, but we're going to make it work. We're going to make it do what we do. All right. And I'm sure some people will chime in, like my man. Good morning to him, Rasul Hodge. I mean, not Rasul Hodge. My man, Rasul 215 on IG. All right. Make sure y'all go and check him out. And I had his stuff. I posted it. When he sends me the information, I'm going to repost it again. But he does amazing things with our youth and our basketball around the city. And he also does a little special thing with the unsigned seniors. Okay, so giving some recognition, putting a foot forward, actually putting 2 feet forward to help some of these young men who were not in the very, very top of the class, who not being heavily recruited, but also puts on a showcase, brings in college coaches and give these guys an opportunity to receive some type of scholarship, or some type of look, okay, for their college wishes of playing basketball in college. So I'll talk more about that when I get the information, like I always do. And I'm still waiting to get Sewell up here in the seat. Got your seat up here, buddy. So whenever you get ready, you know where I'm at. And like I said, stay tuned, because there is going to be a change, an announcement coming. Make sure you tune the announcement. But again, like I said, we'll talk. You got my number. You want to send me the info, and we'll definitely talk about getting you up here. Hopefully we can get you up here before that showcase, so you can tell the people all about that showcase and make sure they get there. All right. But again, like I said, make sure you hit me up, and we'll talk about that real soon. All right. So getting into it, folks, and I know I kind of feel like I'm scrambling all around. I'm kind of moving kind of fast, but this is what I do. All right. Again, you know the rules. Instagram, you just chime in, wave at me. I'll wave back, acknowledge you, give you just shout outs, and I'm going to make a list like I always do. Sometimes, most of the time, I go back at the end of the day and I try to get everybody's handles, and I try to say thank you to everybody as I do on the air, but I try to give you a formal shout out at the end of the show when I can. So again, on Instagram, where I am live now at Sports Rap CEO, also simultaneously live on Facebook in the group page Sports Rap Podcast LLC. So you know what to do. Like I said, on Instagram, I'm already going to see your handle when you chime in. Make sure you wave, and I will wave back. On Facebook, okay, and some of you keep forgetting. Some of y'all give me some good comments, some good content to go along with the show. And I need to give you the proper accolades for your content, for your input, all right, on specific topics and certain things. So when you are on Facebook, either when you say good morning, let me know who you are, or somewhere in your comments, all right, let me know who you are commenting so I can give you your proper shout out. All right. Let's go. I like to switch around a little bit every now and then. So today I'm going to start in the NCAA realm, okay? We're going to start with women's basketball, the top 25 from yesterday. All right, number 13, LSU, 75, Tennessee, 60. Virginia goes up against number 20, Louisville. Virginia in the upset takes that game 73-68. Number 19, Notre Dame goes up to Beantown to face Boston College. They hold on and take that 79-55. Illinois goes into Iowa. Number 6, ranked Iowa. Iowa takes that 101-85. Maryland goes into Ohio State. Number 2, ranked Ohio State. Ohio State holds on 79-66. Number 10, Kansas State in the state rival Kansas, or at the state rival Kansas. Kansas State, number 10, falls in the upset, 58-55. Pitt faces off against number 17, Syracuse. Syracuse holds on, takes that game by 10, 63-53. UNC against number 8, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech holds on, takes that game 74-62. The number 1 ranked South Carolina Lady Gamecocks. Shout out to Dawn Staley, who's been doing her thing for years now. All right, they faced off against Kentucky. They hold on to the number 1 spot, of course. They wallop Kentucky 103-55. Arizona State goes to Cali. All right, faces off against number 3, Stanford. Stanford holds on, takes that 81-67. Number 18, Utah faces off against number 7, USC. USC falls in the upset 74-68. Number 9, Oregon State against Washington. Another upset. Washington upsets them 61-51. Number 6, NC State at Duke. Duke holds on for another upset, 69-58. And number 15, UConn beats up on DePaul, 104-67. In the men's top 25, number 15, Creighton against St. John in New York against St. John's in the infamous white suit for John Calipari. Whatever it was, that white suit did some justice. St. John's takes that 80-66. Number 3, Purdue gets by Michigan, 84-76. And number 7, Marquette at home holds on against Xavier 88-64. In the NHL, the Lightning beat the Devils 4-1. The Flyers in a tight one fall to the Penguins 7-6. Hurricanes fall to the Sabres 3-2. In an overtime game, the Red Wings outlast the Blackhawks 3-2. The Rangers fall to the Blue Jackets 4-2. The Coyotes and the Jets, and another close one. The Jets take that 4-3. And closing out NHL action yesterday, the Predators and the Ducks. The Predators take that 4-2. In the NBA, the Bucks were in town. The return of Doc Rivers, the return of Pat Beverly. The Bucks take that game 119-98. The Lakers and the Suns hold on 123-113. The Mavs and the Pacers hold on 133-111. Excuse me, the Cavs and the Wizards. The Cavs bounce back from a loss the other night to the Sixers and take that game 114-105. The Magic fall to the Hawks 109-92. The Bulls get by the Pelicans 114-106. The Nuggets 119, Warriors 103. The Thunder get by the Rockets 123-110. The Spurs fall to the Jazz 128-109. The Hornets get by the Blazers 93-80. And the Kings get by the Clippers 123-107. I'll have Monday games for you at the closeout of today's show. It's also got some news and some updates before we get into. Former NFL star over the weekend, Richard Sherman, was arrested on suspension of DUI charges. Blue Jays pitcher is forced to work as a bat boy for fantasy football punishment. So apparently he did some betting or some other things in fantasy football, which were deemed illegal by Major League Baseball, and he's now forced to work as a bat boy. I don't understand that. It's really strange, but it is what it is. Let's see. What else do we have in our news and updates? Pretty much it in our news and updates. Got to give a shout out to a couple young ladies. The one young lady, first young lady, and I posted both of these. First young lady, Sanaya Burks, with her triple-double. Her triple-double, and these were the stats of her triple-double. 75 points, 19 rebounds, 15 steals. So kudos to her for that. The second young lady I want to give a shout out to, these are high school young ladies, people. All right, high school young ladies. And I know we all know about Juju at USC, who was making waves out there. She's pretty much reigniting that flame for USC women's basketball. All right, but here we go. Another one. This is from New York, from Fonda, New York. Kiana Christmas of Fonda Fultonville High School. She tallied a quintuple double. All right, yeah, quintuple double. That's double figures in 5 categories. All right, and it's pretty decent. I like this stat sheet. I like this stat line because it shows me, or it tells me, that this young lady is skilled enough and she plays a complete game. Let's get it. 11 points, 20 rebounds. You hear me? 20 rebounds, 11 assists, 10 steals, and 10 blocks. A complete game, like I said, people. A complete game. So shout out to those 2 young ladies in their high school realm doing big things there. Like I said, 75-point triple-double for a young lady is freaking amazing. Right? I just applaud these 2 young ladies for that, and hopefully they can continue on and in pursuing their careers. So over the weekend, all right, and we're at February 26th. So it's a leap year this year, so we got 29 days in the month. You know, February is the shortest month. We usually get through that very quick, like we have done. Like I said, it's already February 26th. So we got about, including the day, we got 4 days. All right, today, and then 3 more days to make it to the 29th. So that's how I say 4 days. All right, and then pretty soon after that, about 2 weeks from now, maybe 2.5 weeks from now, we had the selection show for NCAA March Madness, men's and women's. All right, so over the weekend, we had an incident. We had an upset. All right, Duke, I don't know if they were at Wake Forest, and they got upset. The mighty Duke Blue Devils got upset by Wake Forest Demon Deacons. After that game, the Demon Deacons Wake Forest staff well, not staff, their fans, students and fans, stormed the court. And for the fans on the outside looking in, it initially is not a big deal, because it's something that we've seen a lot. Brown coin, Brown underscore coin 6867. Thank you for tuning in this morning on IG. So again, we weren't really shocked about it. It's something that we as fans see a lot. I would say something that we're accustomed to in specific games, especially games like that, magnitude of an upset like that. The issue became, in this particular instance, where the star player from Duke was struck and was injured in this historic corner. And there are alleged assumptions that his injury and him being struck was possibly done on purpose. I get it. I understand how the Duke staff, players, and coaches could see or could go that route and say that it was on purpose. It was on purpose. Let's just state it was on purpose. But on the other side of the coin, being the media person that I am, I can see where they could get to those assumptions. But for me, and seeing the situation and then hearing the reports, I can see where you could have, if we're discussing it like I'm discussing it now, we can have arguments, we can have cases, a leg to stand on both sides of the fence. In one case in their case where they feel like it was done intentional, I understand that point. I also understand the fact that it's a possibility, and there's also a possibility that it wasn't intentional, because the Demon Deacons don't really have much to play for the remainder of the season. They'll probably end up in the ACC tournament, and then that'll be the end of their season. Don't think that they'll be in any consideration for the big March Madness tournament. So really doesn't give them any advantage in any way. So yeah, you could assume that it was intentional, and you can assume that it was not. On the other side of it not being intentional, a lot of times when we see these court stormings, sometimes there's no way to get out of the way, or it's not enough time to get out of the way. Especially in college, it's like in a college basketball situation, there's no barriers or anything. Like the fans and everybody are just there. So when they storm the court, they're just like literally seconds away from the court, if you will. So in a way, you could argue that there's not enough time for players to get away and things of that nature. And then again, when you look at those types of situations, it's usually out of control. So it's not enough for the security, the coaches to get players off the floor and things of that nature. And it's like I said, so basically, again, it's never enough time. You can very easily argue to get out of the way, get out of harm's way. So the Duke coach is now proclaiming and trying to get the attention of the NCAA to ban the court storming. And they do it in football too. So in football, they storm the field and then they tear the goalpost down. Now, it's a little bit easier to get away in football because you got some distance in between. But we're talking basketball now. And again, the coach at Duke is trying to lobby to get court storming banned, which I get. Okay, I get it. I understand it because of the injury. And it's his star player. And again, because it's Duke, could very well get some steam. I'm not going to say it could very well get done completely, but because it's Duke, it could get some steam. All right. So then when I say some steam, then I'm saying that there could be some conversations had, some really in-depth conversations had on the situation or the idea of banning the court storming. So for me, I get it where their angle is, where they're coming from, because of, like I said, because of the injury. And like the things I just said to you, basic things like in basketball, there's probably not enough time to get away, get yourself out of harm's way. So I get it. One of the things I think will be included in some of these dialogues, possibly, is the fact that even though we have this type of situation now, this is something that's been going on. So you can kind of look at it as an unwritten, unetched in stone tradition for, again, these types of games. A major upset by Wake Forest, a major upset in a conference tournament, a major upset, whatever, okay, in a rivalry. So I don't know how they will get it banned, but I'm sure that Duke will keep pushing that envelope. And again, like I said, they're going to push that envelope to at least try to have some dialogue. And again, I feel like because it is Duke University, that there will be some dialogue had on the situation. I understand it is what it is, and some people are probably listening to me and probably saying, yeah, Duke this and Duke that. Okay, I get it. But I do understand the grand scheme of things that there was an individual hurt. There was an individual struck, and you will probably not be able to fully decipher or pinpoint if it was done intentional because of the chaos in that particular type of situation. But I get it. I understand where the coach is in that situation. And for this, I get it also because now you have a non-basketball injury, which is even worse for a coach to have your star player out in a non-basketball injury. And for that matter, for an injury that could have been avoided. Okay. So again, we all know the court storming and the field storming is something, like I said, it's an unwritten, unetched in stone tradition that we see all the time as fans. Not all the time, but we see a lot as fans. And I think in order for it to be banned, there really is going to have to be an in-depth case. And I think just this one particular player being injured and also being, like I said, him being struck could arguably be their base. But again, like I said, because of what we do and how that situation plays out, and it's so chaotic and so quick when it happens that they probably won't be able to fully determine if him being struck was intentional or not. Okay, the injury is the injury. All right, they'll deal with that. But I'm sure their main focus is going to be the fact that he was struck. And it wasn't like just he got pushed or whatever on that storm of the court. It was like allegedly they're saying he got struck and then he also got hurt. Okay. So again, like I said, they're pushing for the ban of this court storming. Like I said, I'm sure that the conversations will be had, like I said, because it's Duke and a player got injured, more importantly. So the conversations will probably be had. I just don't know how strong of a case they have as far as to go right to banning it. In that instance, you're going to have to beef up security. You're going to have to put some other parameters in order to start that process. Again, like I said, because if you've ever seen a court storming, and I'm sure a lot of you have, it's so, like I said, and in basketball for that matter, again, like I'm reiterating, there's never, in my opinion, enough time to get out of the way unless you're already out of the way. All right. So in basketball, like I said, there's no barriers and people can be on the court in seconds, literally in seconds. So it's very hard. On the other side, when we're talking maybe football, like I said, there's a football field. And people argue they tear down the goalposts and this and that. Yeah. But in football, there's a lot more space. So there is some time for players to see what's coming and get out of the way, or make a better attempt to get out of harm's way. Basketball, like I said, close-knit. We're a close-knit situation, very intimate, if you will. And again, people will be on the court in seconds. So I don't know how it's going to play out, but like I'm bringing it to you, and I will definitely keep my ear to the story. And as it progresses and as things move along, I will definitely report back to you as we go. So again, coming up soon, March Madness, and I'll just give you some dates. I'm only going to give you the one date right now. Later on down the line, I'll give you the rest of the dates. So Selection Sunday is coming up March 17th. So we're like getting ready to get into our conference tournaments in college basketball. One of the most exciting and fun times for me in sports is March Madness, because you're going to have upsets. You're going to have shocking upsets. You're going to have Cinderella stories always. You're going to have teams who may have not been where you expected them throughout the season, maybe pick up some stride going into the playoffs, as they will, or the tournament. Jay Blake, my guy, thanks for tuning in every Monday morning. Appreciate you. So, Selection Sunday, like I said, there are going to be a lot of teams that they're saying will be on the bubble. A lot of teams will have to put in some work and really do some things in their conference tournaments in order to get in order to get a higher seed than what they expected or where they wanted, or get a higher seed, the highest seed that they want. So it's going to be fun. Like I said, for me, it's the most exciting, fun time of the sports year for me, because you got basketball. You get that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you get basketball all day long up until the end. You get Thursday, Friday basketball all day and all night. You get Saturday, Sunday basketball all day, all night. So it's like really fun. And like I said, you look for the upsets. A lot of these games are teams that know it's one and done. So when you have teams that are like the juggernauts, the nationally ranked teams going in, and they're playing some of these smaller schools or these lower ranked teams. These lower ranked teams don't have anything really to lose. Excuse me. So they're going to bring their A++ game. And sometimes they get bit. And I'm talking about the national ranked teams and the higher ranked teams. Sometimes they get bit. Sometimes they get bit early. So again, March 17th, and I'm sure we'll have our preview show. Once they do that Sunday, we'll come back that Monday and reiterate everything that was transpired and give you an update and give you our preview show for March Madness. All right, so just stay tuned for that. So in the NBA, back to the NBA. We all know over the weekend that there was a scuffle, a major scuffle between the Pelicans and the Miami Heat. All right. All in all, five players suspended. I believe it was 5 players. If I got 5 players suspended, 3 from Miami and 2 from the Pelicans. All right. So for their roles in this incident, Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat was suspended 1 game, which I think is a little surprising from what I saw. Thomas Bryant, 3 games, and Nikola Jovic, 1 game. On the other side, Jose Alvarado, 3 games, and Najee Marshall, 1 game. So the reason I said to you, I think the 1 game for Jimmy Butler is a little strange. If you didn't see the play, there was a hard foul on Zion Williams by Kevin Love. All right, it was a hard foul, but it was a basketball hard foul. And when I watched it, I saw that Kevin Love did make the foul. He did what he was supposed to do, secured his arms or whatever, so he couldn't get the shot up, although it did be a shooting foul. But when he knocked him down to the ground, he immediately look, okay, you good, all right, we straight, everything's all right, And that just spurred the way it looked probably in real life, real time. It probably looked a little rougher than it was. So you had, and I'm sure it was Najee Marshall who came in and intervened in a angry, extremely aggressive way. So in retaliation, Jimmy Butler stood up for his teammate, and he equally retaliated in an aggressive, angry way. It looked like Najee reached out to try and grab Jimmy's throat, and that really made Jimmy hot, and Jimmy was on his you-know-what entire thing. So it turned into a big scuffle. That's the reason why I feel like Jimmy Butler should have got the 3 and Najee Marshall should have got the 3 games. The other guy should have got 1. Thomas Bryant for leaving the bench, Jose Alvarado for leaving the bench, who probably got into some mix in some type of way. And they got 3 games each. It's, for me, it's somewhat funny how these situations play out in today's NBA, where you rarely see any punches literally thrown nowadays. It's usually a lot of posturing, getting in the face, attempting to grab and things of that nature. And then people are pulled and separated, whatever. Back in the day, you saw physical punches thrown. You saw fist fights. Okay? But again, like I said, they've dumbed down the NBA so much now and saturated it so much now that you will never see those types of incidents at that level as far as punches being thrown. And you may get some people that may try to attempt to swing and punch at a person in the NBA now, but it will never be like it was back then. Like, again, back then you had serious like fisticuffs, okay? Almost like hockey fights in the NBA, but we'll probably never see that again. So these suspensions came out, and it came out pretty quick. And I'm sure the tape was reviewed. Like I said, I saw it from the very beginning, and I saw it in real time and everything. And so I didn't really analyze the tape. So I could be going a little far with saying that Jimmy Butler, I feel like, but that's just what I saw, what I'm reporting to you, what I saw and what I feel. All right. I could be incorrect. Okay. Because obviously the NBA had someone that reviewed this tape. They reviewed the incident, and this is how they came up with these fines. And these fines, I'm sure, come with some type of fee. Okay. It's amazing, or for me, not amazing, but it's just a little strange of how quick this incident and these suspensions came. Usually it takes a couple days. And I mean, it was a couple days, but it just seems faster in this particular incident for these suspensions to come out. And, you know, it's weird that how fast it came out. Hopefully it can be a learning tool as well. And as far as the situation and how fast the suspensions came out, for instances moving forward, so players will understand, you get in the fight today, you're going to be suspended tomorrow. Right? So it could be a learning tool. Could be, could not be. We'll see what happens. Over the weekend also, and I'm going back and just real quick, and I forgot to give you this in my news and updates. Hawks guard Trae Young is going to miss at least 4 weeks with a finger injury. He had finger surgery, so he's going to miss 4 weeks there. Moving on to some football stuff. Moving on to some Eagle stuff, if you will. I'm going to talk about 2 mock trades that I saw. One, I'm contemplating that I probably would be okay with doing this. The one, and the other one, I'm not really sure. So besides that, we all have heard the rumors and the chatter about the Eagles and their situation in the locker room. And then we also heard the rumors about A.J. Brown. Well, Mr. A.J. Brown was on The Fanatic over the weekend, and he cleared up some things. One of the things he said, like, he said, I want to be here, end quote. You know, he also went, and you can go back and check their podcast and get the audio of this, and you can read it if you will. But he also said that, you know, he kind of came at the media where his ideas and his thought processes were, you know, you guys are supposed to write about the team. Yes, you write about them when they do good, when they do bad. He said, but you guys just get to go to the extreme when things happen. And you take stories and run with it and blow them up and report stuff that isn't even true. Way back when, before A.J. Brown even went on the radio, their report came out from Adam Schefter, who probably was doing his homework. He was digging and probing and prodding and looking into the situation. He said he contacted someone from the Eagles organization, and he said his response was that never happened. Whatever was put out in the media, he said it never happened. So, again, me as a member of the media, I pride myself on digging and doing research and using my sources to get proper information before I bring it to you. And again, like I said, I get the information and I reinterpret it into my own words and bring it to you that way. But it's always been done in media, not just here. I saw people argue and people debate that Philly is like the hardest, sometimes New York and sometimes Boston, sometimes people say the hardest. But it happens all the time in media where media will blow some stories up and or sometimes blow them up in a different direction than what they really are. But you have to remember, people, the media is in the business of selling you something. They're selling you that story. They have to get the reach. They have to get readers. They have to get listeners. They have to get watchers. Selling you newspapers and things of that nature. So this is how they keep you engaged. Okay? They blow up stories in a light where, as a fan, you get intrigued by what they tell you, and then you go looking for more. Again, they're trying to feed their need to sell a product. I don't like it when they go extremely to the negative side, but apparently the negative side seems to get more reviews and more looks and all of that than what positive stories have come out. So for me, as a member of the media, like I said, I look at stories and I hear them. And sometimes I see them when I'm scrolling through my phone, doing some stuff, and I just post stuff. But when I post it, I always post it in the premise of getting some feedback. But while I'm posting, I'm also checking out that story so I can formulate my own perceptions so that when people do make comments on my post, I have a counterpunch for them. I can answer their questions in a way that they understand the situation. And I try to put my best foot forward and give you the information. And like I said, I always try to bring the information in a way that you can understand it. Because sometimes when you look at the mainstream media, you get information and you're looking at it and you're listening to it and you're like, wait, what? Why would... So again, this is where I think I have my niche. This is where I think I feel, and this is where I think I'm doing so well. And I appreciate everybody that tunes in that tells me all of this stuff. And thank you all for that. So the trades, since we're talking Eagles, the two trades that I saw from the Eagles situation. And some people are probably going to cringe at this one. And they're probably going to say, why in the world would we make a trade with this particular team? Why would we cross that line? But here it is. There's a mock trade between the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. In this trade, the Eagles would receive wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, linebacker Micah Parsons, a first-round pick, which would be the number 24 overall. The Cowboys, in turn, would receive wide receiver Quez Watkins, cornerback James Bradbury, a third-round pick, which would end up being the number 97th pick overall. So, as far as picks, I think that's a good deal. We all know the going rumor and the chatter that's been going around about Micah Parsons and how everybody here feels like, oh, he just wants to be an Eagle. Just come on over. Could happen. The other question I have with this situation is, do you put CeeDee Lamb as your number 3? Or does that cause some type of confusion, some problem for your already incumbent 1 and 2 receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? How would it work? You have a guy coming from being a number 1 receiver to arguably being a number 2 or a number 3 receiver. How would it mesh? We all know how a lot of these wide receivers are diva-like. So there could be a problem there. On the other hand, for the Eagles, you are getting rid of a receiver that you had high hopes in who apparently has been underperforming. You also have a cornerback who bet on himself, was brought back, and just did not perform to where the Eagles expected him to. Way below where the Eagles expected him to. So this particular trade, not 100% sure if I would do this trade. Like I said, it looks and sounds really, really good, but I kind of don't know. I'm still not 100% sure. Like I said, with all the underlying factors, a couple that I just brought up to you, and there possibly could be some others in there if you really, really begin to analyze the situation. The second one I saw was the Eagles and the Broncos. Okay, the Eagles would get Patrick Surtain in a second-round pick, which would be number 76. The Broncos would get James Bradberry and Quez Watkins again in a second-round pick at number 50. Now, this one is one that I feel like I would do. If you put these two deals on the table in front of me and basically told me I had to pick one because a deal was going to happen, but I had to pick one of these two, I'm going to go with the second one. And the reason I say that, because on the Eagles side, you just move a little lower in that second round, which is no real big deal. You also gain a player in a position that is of dire need, that can come in and perform for you immediately. Okay? You get rid of two underachievers. Okay? One underachiever who played a bigger role than the other as far as the downfall of the team. Like I said, Quez Watkins. He has the speed and we saw the potential, but it's very inconsistent for him. On the other side of the ball with the James Bradberry issue, we saw the steady decline. And we saw him have a good year in the contract year where he bet on himself. He had a decent year. There was a Super Bowl. He had a decent year. But then coming back, he was in a steady decline throughout the entire season. And basically what I'm saying is he got worse and worse as the season progressed, as did the team, the entire defense, but particularly him. So you move on from that situation, but you have to find someone to get into that situation. And in the second deal, you put someone, you recoup someone that could step right in and start for you. I understand the Isaiah Rodgers deal too, and he's coming into the fold. So the Eagles could possibly be okay in that back end of that secondary, that back end of that defense, but you can't really can't confirm it yet. It has to materialize. Okay, you got some young pieces that show some promise, and like I said, you bring in an Isaiah Rodgers who was solidified. But if you could pull off this deal and bring in a Patrick Surtain II, you pretty much solidify again your corner position, your starting cornerback, Darius Slay. And I know people are going to say, Darius Slay, he's getting a little older, right? But we saw what can transpire from Darius Slay when he's playing on the opposite side, or when his partner on the opposite side is also a solid corner. We saw that the first year with him and James Bradberry. It was very good. I don't know what happened. The injuries hit Darius Slay this past year. And again, like I said, Bradberry just was on a steady decline for whatever reason. And I don't blame it all on the players as far as for James Bradberry. I do blame some of it on the defensive situation as far as the coordinators and how they proceeded to game plan, where there were players on that defense who looked totally confused about their situation, who looked like they had no clue as to what they were supposed to do, where they were supposed to be, where they supposed to be on the field, where they not supposed to be on the field. Am I supposed to blitz? Am I supposed to fall back? Yada, yada, yada. All of that list, and we talked about that several times, and that situation is over now, so we're not going to backtrack into that. But again, if I had to pick between these two deals, I feel like I'm more comfortable with the second deal between the Eagles and the Broncos. Because again, you grab somebody that can just come in and play for you immediately. On the other hand, the other side, the other trade, you have questions there, and you got, and there's no disrespect to the players. You got really good players. You got fantastic players back in return. But the issue becomes with one of them more so than the other. There's questions on both, but with the other one, it's like, where do you really put him as your wide receiver number 3? Do you put him at number 2? Because he's not better, in my opinion, he's not better than A.J. Brown, so he will not supplant A.J. Brown as your number 1. Smitty has shown us why he's our number 2, and he's also shown us that he could possibly be a number 1 as well. So in essence, in the Eagles situation, from the performance of these 2 receivers that we already have, you could say 1A, 1 and 1A. And then you could argue that CeeDee Lamb could be your 2. But again, the problem becomes the wide receiver diva quality issue could possibly come into play big time in that situation. So we will see how things play out with the Eagles. The salary cap has gone up. So the Eagles will have approximately, I think they said $32.5 million in space to do some things. So, hey, they could possibly do some things. You know, they're not like the Sixers. In the Sixers situation, the Sixers have about $55-60 million in the offseason. And it was great with the Clippers. Like, people were saying, oh, this, that, and the third. Well, the Clippers gave us expiring contracts. So this is how we opened up that space. Some of those guys might get re-signed. Some of the guys that we got on 1-year contracts might come back. So the Sixers have a lot of wiggle room, if you will, in regards to at the end of the season and in the summer and free agency and things of that nature. So a lot of things could possibly get done for the Philadelphia Eagles in that right. Moving back again, and we're going to talk some basketball. I want to talk a little bit about the Sixers game yesterday. I was actually in attendance at the game yesterday. The return of Doc Rivers, the return of Pat Beverly. The chatter from Pat Bev about the Kyle Lowry situation ended up being a lot of chatter because there wasn't too much one-on-one, or there wasn't a lot of Pat Bev guarding Kyle Lowry in that particular game yesterday. You can definitely tell how much Joel Embiid is missed in these last several games, because teams now are totally attacking the basket. I mean, we have some teams that will shoot threes still, but a lot of teams are now attacking the basket more than they have, or more than they would with Joel in the situation, or with Joel in the fray. Again, speaking of Joel Embiid and his injury, and we've all heard that there is optimism that he could come back towards the end of the season, at late regular season, and moving into the playoffs. I saw him yesterday, and for me, it just reiterated the things that Nick Nurse had said in interviews and dialogue with reporters, that he's in good spirits. He's been attending practices. I looked at him yesterday. He had his son Arthur with him at the game yesterday. He was only there for the first half, I believe. He was only out in the area, in the court area, for the first half. But during the time that I saw him out there with his teammates, interacting with his teammates, he looked to be like his spirits were upbeat. He also looked to be moving around pretty good considering his injury. And again, don't get me wrong. Don't get too excited about the things I'm telling you now. I'm just telling you what I saw. But, you know, walking around and being just around your teammates is a lot different than being able to get up and down that basketball court at the level that Joel Embiid has been playing at last season and this season so far when he played. So again, it's definitely going to take some time. And I appreciate the fact that it feels like and appears that the Sixers are not attempting to rush him back. They're kind of taking it in stride. And they're kind of taking it in stride and hoping for the best. And again, like I said, I think that with the team and the way things are going right now with the team, you brought in Buddy Hield, you got some more shooting. You bring in a veteran like Kyle Lowry to help out in the playoffs. I think Joel is going to be in that mode of wanting to return to help his brothers out. But again, I don't feel like the Sixers are going to rush it, and I definitely don't want them to rush it. If he can come back at the end of the regular season, I'm sure they will do their due diligence. He'll be on a minute restriction. And like I said, if he does come back, he's going to have to play himself into basketball shape partially in that first round of the playoffs. So, right now the Sixers sit currently at the 5 spot. Their opponent, if the playoffs ended today, their opponent would be the New York Knicks, and they would have to go on the road to face the New York Knicks. With some healthy parts, including even with the minus of Joel Embiid, I think the Sixers can play with the Knicks. If Joel Embiid can return and be ready for that series, I think the Sixers still can beat the Knicks. It gives me even more confidence. But again, like I said, with everything that's going on now with the Sixers, once some of these guys get, because we got guys that are just coming back. So once these guys get healthy and get back into a rhythm and a couple new additions, or add Kyle into the mix, I think they could get some things done. But we definitely will need the big fella if we intend to make a run or a deep run in the playoffs. Definitely going to need the big fella in that. So, again, the Sixers have a little bit of a bright spot, if you will, depending on how the playoff situation plays out this year. And I'm sure there will be fan reaction in a lot of different ways as to how the season ends, or to when the season ends. I'm sure there will be different reactions as to why it ended this way, why it ended that way, how did it end this way, how did it end that way, yada, yada, yada. A lot of that. But Sixers fans, do not let it dwell. Do not let it fester during the offseason, because the Sixers have about 55 to 60 something million in cap space that can be utilized in free agency. And again, you have contracts that will be coming off the books. The big Tobias Harris contract. Some of the guys that we got from the Clippers, the Nick Batum, the 1-year deal for Kelly Oubre, just a remainder of the season deal for Kyle. You may be able to talk him into coming back a year, depending on what happens in the playoffs and how far this team goes. So, again, you look at the Sixers, and the Sixers could be very, 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 very huge players in free agency this summer. And they have the money to do it. And again, I think with what they're doing, the coaching staff and the young core that they have, I think you might be able to entice some players to get here. You have to pay Maxey. But even with paying Maxey, I think you can still possibly entice some players or some possibilities of some guys coming in here. And it may just have to take some of that money. But I think, again, the Sixers, will be definitely huge players in free agency this offseason. There's a lot of speculation that one of the top, if not the top name on their list, is one Paul George. For me, a few years back, maybe I would be all in. Right now, I can't say that I'm all in. I also feel like the situation that they have with the Clippers, with them bringing in James Harden and having already re-signed, had an extension for Kawhi Leonard and have Russell Westbrook there, that Paul George may feel like that would be his best situation of winning. I don't know. Also, another name that has been brought up, Jrue Holiday. And I was hoping that they could have got in on that mix when he was ended up traded to Portland, who I knew would possibly buy him out or move him as well because they wanted to go with the young core. And then we look up and he ends up in Boston. Yeah, Jay, Paul George doesn't do it for me either. Like I said, if it had been maybe a couple years back, possibly I would be seriously considering that. But right now, Paul George is Jay. I'm in agreement with you, Jay. He doesn't do it for me right now. I think we can get better. I think we can do better than Paul George. This article is somewhat dated, so some of the other names in here, like I said, Pascal Siakam, who's already been moved, Buddy Hield, who they did end up getting finally. They also talked about Tyus Jones and Malik Monk. I don't like the Malik Monk point, and I think Kyle fits that role where I thought Tyus Jones could have fit. And I think people may say I'm crazy. You would get younger with Tyus Jones, but where the Sixers are now, and with the head coach and the coaching staff there, I feel like you kind of have a better chance with Kyle. Again, because you don't have to ask him to come in and play 25, 30 minutes a night. You don't have to ask him to give you 25, 30 points a night. But in the situation, and going back to the things that I said about what I felt like the Sixers need moving going into the trade deadline, I felt like he checks a lot of the boxes that I felt like they needed. A backup point guard, a veteran, playoff tested, battle tested, championship pedigree, and has played under Nick Nurse, who he won his championship under. So all those signs I think are pluses for the Sixers, like I said. Of course, you would have liked to have possibly gone with Tyus Jones to have it younger, but then you lose that experience, that knowledge, okay, that veteran leadership on the other end of that. So I'm okay with the Kyle Lowry thing. Like I said, I told people that it was more than likely going to happen. I said that immediately when Miami made the trade to get Terry Rozier and Kyle was shipped to Charlotte. I said he's not going to be there long. They're immediately going to talk about a buyout if they don't move him immediately again. So it happened. The buyout happened, and then he signed with the Sixers. And I said, once that happened, a lot of people, including myself, were on the premise that, yeah, he's going to get bought out, possibly could return to Philly. One of the players I would have liked for them to have kept or possibly have looked into bringing back after the buyout market was Marcus Morris Sr. I didn't like him being in the trade, but sometimes you have to part with some things. Like they say, scared money don't make no money. So you had to part with some things to make deals go through in order for you to get what you want. I also felt like I said, a little bit of me felt like that they could have made the trade and then brought him back because I don't think he's going to stay in San Antonio, but I read that he might be going to sign with, I think, Portland or somewhere else. So I'll look it up and I'll get it back to you and see what happens. And I think, like I said, it's weird, and it's probably going to sound weird that I say this, but I won't say that the Sixers are in a good situation, but I'll say they're in an okay situation. And I say that because they will make the playoffs at some point, even if worst case scenario they fall low enough to get into the play-in tournament. But they will make the playoffs, albeit not where we expected it to be because of our major injury. But there's a glimmer of hope that he can come back. You could possibly get a look at what could be in the next couple years for the Philadelphia 76ers. And again, we'll see what happens. But, I think they're in an okay situation, like I said. And if it doesn't happen this year, and people will probably say, we don't want to do that. We want it here. We want it now. Just look forward to next season when things could drastically change. Because, again, like I said, they'll have plenty of money to go surfing and go fishing over the summer. Plenty of money to recoup. And like I said, if they make some type of headway, some type of noise, even if it's just a whisper, not a whisper, but even if it's just a little bit of noise, you're going to have some people looking. Okay, and I also think the coaching staff now will have some players maybe thinking and taking those conversations when they wouldn't take them before. So we'll see what happens with the Sixers and their offseason stuff, and we'll see what happens with the Eagles and their offseason stuff. One last note. We have been talking about coordinators and all that in the NFL, and I know I'm bouncing back and forth, but the last thing, UCLA has reportedly hired Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator. So he couldn't get his shot in the NFL. Teams overlooked him. In the past, teams interviewed him due to the Rooney Rule, which is a rule that I hate in the NFL. I really, really think it's a slap in the face to our African-American coaches that work in the NFL. And if you don't know the rule, you can look it up and figure it out. I'm not going to go into it too much, but I really don't like that rule, and I really think it's a slap in the face to the minority coaches in the NFL. So with that being said, folks, we are at our close. We are definitely approaching our close. So thank you all for the great show. Just wanted to give some applause for that. For everybody that tuned in and gave some input and whatnot. So, we have some good news. The announcement that is coming. Don't fret, people. I'm not going anywhere. I will still be here. I will just be switching time slots for the Sports Rap Podcast. The Sports Rap Podcast will be moving to the evening, the afternoon hours. Looking at 4 to 6, possibly 5 to 7. I think I'm going to stick with the 4 to 6. So next Monday, we're going to go 4 to 6. So make note of it. I'm definitely going to post it as well. But make note of it. That is the announcement. It's just the time change for the Sports Rap Podcast. No day change, nothing. Just going to get your recap of sports a little bit later in the day. I also feel like we're going to get more people tuned in because it's after work and a lot more people may not have to sneak and listen, as I know some of you do. You'll be able to free reign. And some of the things that I plan on bringing to the show will be able to be incorporated and work a lot better because I'll have more people tuned in than I will than I've had. Well, and no disrespect to my morning people. I love y'all. Definitely love y'all support. But I'm going to give you guys your mornings back. But don't fret. On that Monday morning in that spot, you'll be able to listen to the Boss Lady, Simply Monica, in the Midday Rush. And then after that, you'll get a break. And then I'll come back at 4 and give you all your great sports coverage and great content like I always do. That's also going to help me with scheduling times for interviews. I know people are busy and I know their time frame. So sometimes some things will happen. And I'll be able to get a lot more done. So that, folks, is your announcement. I thank you all for that. So again, Sports Rap will be moving from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Monday to 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday afternoons, Monday evenings. And again, it has been a great Monday. I definitely thank you all for your support as always. Thank you to everyone that chimed in. Jay Blake, Mighty Robinson, my guy. Julio Centron, my guy. Brown Coin 6867, and my other guy, Rasul. I had one person tuned in on Facebook. You didn't tell me who you were. But all the people I know that are tuned in that didn't chime in today, I know you're there, and I know you'll see this video. So like always, enjoy your Monday. It's going to be about 58 degrees today, I believe. Going to warm up a little bit, but it's going to be a little rainy. So, if you will, get yourselves out, enjoy the nice weather, get you some of that liquid sunshine. Remember, time change, and I'll announce it again after I get off the air. Time change in the post. Time change for Sports Rap Podcast, LLC, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Monday to 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday evenings. And again, folks, be great on purpose. Enjoy the start of your work week. February is just about over. Enjoy your day. And remember, you know where to find me. At Sports Rap CEO on Instagram, Twitter. Not really so much on Twitter, so we're going to leave that out. So again, at Sports Rap CEO on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. And on Facebook, Sports Rap Podcast LLC is the group page there. You can also get the webpage, sportsrapradio.com. And also, folks, remember, get over to the YouTube channel. We got to get that YouTube channel up. Get that YouTube channel. When you get there, Sports Rap TV, all right, is the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We need you to subscribe first and foremost. Then what you're going to do is you're going to check out the videos that are up there. The two interviews I did last week are now up. There are other interviews up there. Just great content up on that page. Then what you're going to do is you're going to hit the thumbs up on the videos that you like. And then after that, you're going to hit the bell so you will be alerted when new content is up. Also, you can get audio on iHeart, Google, and Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, most of your podcast outlets. Just search Sports Rap Podcast. And you can catch me every Monday now, 4 to 6, right here on Heat 100 Radio. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to get you back to some music. And I appreciate you all. So look forward to me all week on social media. And right back here next Monday in the evening. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.